'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where you ought to be. And when you find yourself in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight.
When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed to turn. Turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be true, 'tis the gift to labor till the day is through. And when you find yourself in the place so fine, put me in the cool of the birch and the pine. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed to turn. Turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
Tis the gift to be joyful, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift, 'tis the gift, 'tis the simple gift to be. And when you find yourself filled with pure delight, the gift to be simple has led you aright. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed to turn. Turn will be our delight.
Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Berkeley. I'm Reverend Marcus Liefert, and I'm so glad to be gathered with you this Sunday morning with all that's going on in our world and in our hearts. Welcome. If you're visiting with us for the first time, I especially want to welcome you today. We hope that no matter who you are or how you make your living, no matter whom you love, or how you experience the sacred, you will feel welcome among us here in the fullness of your being. Welcome. We hope everyone who can will stay after the service for conversation over lunch freely offered by our wonderful team of volunteers in the kitchen each week. Make your way all the way through the atrium into the social hall and stick around if you can. We acknowledge as we gather each week here at the intersection of arts, justice, and spirituality that we gather on the unceded territory of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people, Hutyun. And we know that we've inherited a broken covenant here in this country, a broken covenant with the first peoples of this place. We hope we'll have the humility and the courage to do our part to heal what's been broken, to live into a new solidarity with indigenous peoples and the earth. If there's ever something on your heart that you'd like lifted up aloud during our service, there's a memory book at the back of the sanctuary. You're welcome to write it down there, and I'll read it aloud during our pastoral prayer. You're also always welcome to light a candle for a silent memory or prayer. We are in a season of worship where we are holding our full spectrum lives, trying to talk about all those interior places that get touched by the events of our world and how we live from a deeper place in order to connect with that which breaks us open. And this morning, of course, there's so much that we are holding, breaking open our hearts and our beings. Our first hymn that we'll sing in a moment is not the hymn we were planning to sing this morning. It's a hymn that was written in 1845, just as our country was about to go to war, amidst the war with Mexico. A history that still informs the moment we live in today. So before we sing that hymn, I'm going to invite you to just rise in body or in spirit, to turn to the back of the sanctuary and wave to those joining us on Facebook or YouTube. So glad you're here with us in spirit. And then to turn and greet your neighbor. Just wish them a happy Sunday. Say they're glad to be here.
light the chalice. And we light this chalice to invite light into our dark world with words that come from Leonard Cohen's song Anthem. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And words from one of the verses seem particularly relevant. I can't run no more with the lawless crowd, while the killers in high places say their prayers aloud. But they've summoned a thundercloud. They're gonna hear from me. So ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in.
Good morning. We're so excited to Sing and Rejoice for you and with you this morning. It's been our RE song for all of December and January. We are going to physicalize the beat because we've had a lot of fun doing that. We hope all of the children who've sung this in RE will join in. And after we've demonstrated what a round sounds like, we're hoping that you will join us in a 3-part round. So it will be 1, 2, 3. And please join us for the laugh, clap, clap, laugh, clap. But don't speed up.
My story this morning starts at the top of a mountain where there is a village where everyone in the village has a job. And the person that I want to focus on is the young woman who goes to get water for the village. Now, the village is at the very top of the mountain and the water is not. So every morning, the woman puts on a piece of wood and ties 2 pots to either side, and she walks down to the river, and she fills the pots with water, and she walks back up. She is very cardiovascularly fit. And she loves her job. She walks down the mountain singing, and she walks back up the mountain singing, because she really enjoys what she does. And the pot that is on her left side also really enjoys what it does. This pot says, I am perfect. I am a perfect pot. I have no cracks. I have no blemishes. When the young woman takes me down and brings me back up, I bring back all of the water that I am supposed to. And this pot, not in a mean way, not in a cruel way, likes to remind the other pot just how perfect it is. Because the other pot is not perfect. The other pot has a crack. It's not a big crack. It's a slow leak. And so every day when they get back up to the village at the top, this pot is only about half full. And this pot feels very bad about itself. Why does she even keep me? I can't do my job. I'm worthless. I have a crack. Pots are supposed to be perfect and whole, and I am not. And the other pot doesn't say anything, but kind of agrees. Anyway, one day, the little girl, she's all the different ages, this person, walks back up the mountain and stops singing for just a moment. And out of the corner of her ear, do ears have corners? At any rate, she hears the pots discussing their relative worth. And she hears how sad the pot with a leak is. And she says, do you think I didn't know that you had a leak? Of course I knew. I have always known. I have always known you had a leak from the very beginning. I chose you precisely because you have a crack. And the pots, both of them, are like, what? How can this be? Pots are supposed to be whole and perfect. And the young woman says, have you ever noticed the path back up to the village? And both of the pots admit that, of course, they've just been talking to each other and haven't noticed it all. And do they even have eyes? And the young woman says, well, on the way up this time, look at the path. And the pots do, and they realize the path is lined with flowers. Flowers all the way up on the side with the leaky pot. And the young woman says, do you know why? Pots aren't very smart. They don't know. They don't know why. And she says, I realized immediately that you had a crack, and so I put seeds all the way up the path on your side. And every day, you water the seeds. And so both of you pots are perfect. One of you brings most of the water that the village needs, and the other one brings some water and flowers that make everyone happy. You are perfect, unblemished, and you are perfect with your crack. You are exactly as you are meant to be. And that is my story. If you could rise in body or spirit, and we're going to sing the children out with all lifted hearts.
Amen.
When the fire of commitment sets our mind and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promises find fulfillment and our future can begin. Good morning. I'm Paul Hudson.
And I'm Ariel Smithier.
And we are your co-chairs of the 2026-2027 Stewardship Campaign. With musical inspiration, this year's theme is the fire of commitment. We'll be exploring and building the fire of our shared passions for and commitment to UUCB and the common values that we hold so dear. This year, we're excited to be sharing with you a new giving guide from the Unitarian Universalist Association that matches kind of our place on our journey at UUCP with our ability to give. And those two things coming together defines our fire of commitment for this community. We're excited this morning this is the kickoff of our campaign. In practically no time, we're 30% towards our goal this year. We've raised so far $150,000.
So for the next 3 Sundays, we'll be handing out pledge forms in the atrium. In fact, we have a table there, so come and visit us when service ends. If we don't have the chance to see you in person, then we'll mail it out mid-February. Also happening in the atrium today and next week is your chance to sign up for a one-time small group called a fire circle. It's modeled after chalice circles, where we'll be exploring what in our lives we feel most committed to and how our commitment here at UUCB connects to our giving. You can sign up for that at the chalice circle table or at our table. We're also inviting all early pledgers to a special party. We're calling it a fire soiree in early March. We hope you'll consider submitting your pledge by March 1st so you can join that celebration. The pledge drive itself will extend through the end of April.
So this morning marks the spark of our fire of commitment. In that spirit, I'd like to introduce Oak, a new UUCB member, who will be sharing of their initial sparklings at UUCB.
Good morning. This is cool seeing you all from this point of view. As an adult, I never thought I'd join a church. I've always been a people person, and that naturally extended to a fascination with religion, this nebulous thing that so many people swear by and drives how they live their lives. But as an adult, I never thought I'd join a church. Despite growing up in a non-religious household as a child, when I asked my mom about God, my mom told me that love was God's message and the most important thing to aspire to, and I took that message to heart. Later, as a lonely middle schooler, it made sense to seek out community with folks who believed in the power of love. It seemed like the most promising way to address my loneliness, and I begged my mom to take me to church in an attempt to find the community I longed for. We started attending a Christian church, and I was excited about their youth group. But when I got there, I didn't know the Bible stories like the other kids, and I felt either judged or pitied for not knowing what they knew. After a while, I decided it was too painful, that I wouldn't ever fit in there, and that their community wasn't for me. I gave up my dream of being a part of their community. I begged my mom to stop making me attend, and my heart grieved. Even so, I took comfort in the knowledge that, while I didn't fit in, and perhaps I never would, we shared common values. The sense that I was part of a community spreading love in the world continued, and I knew that despite my loneliness, I was not alone. The sense of community based in shared values with Christian and other religious folks continued until high school. Then, in my junior year, I found out the Westboro Baptist Church was protesting at fallen soldiers' funerals due to the church's homophobia and objection to the U.S. military's Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. At the time, causing pain to the families of fallen soldiers in an effort to create publicity and notoriety for their hateful homophobic agenda was the most unchristian behavior from a church that I had ever heard of in modern times, and I was shocked and outraged at the cruelty, the hypocrisy, and the betrayal of love. But when I expressed my outrage, my friends informed me that the rejection of LGBTQ people was a common practice among those following Christianity and other religions, and my heart broke. I felt unmoored. These were not actions of love. As someone who identified as an atheist at the time, I'd known we hadn't believed the exact same thing, but my sense of our shared value of love had felt like community. That shared value felt like I could count on others in the face of the pain and injustice that I saw in the world and experienced in my own life. Losing that sense of community felt like a loss of hope. It felt like isolation. It felt like shame, like I was a sucker who had believed in love and the goodness of others and then found out that in reality I was really alone in a cruel world. My sense of goodness and rightness with the world was upended in a way that echoes the experience of someone losing faith. For a long time, I suffered that heartbreak and the subsequent injuries and betrayals of the value of love in the news in my own life. It took over 10 years from starting to heal that pain to be able to walk into a church, and even longer before I could do so without panicking and needing to consciously slow my breath, even if the words God or Jesus were never uttered. It took an additional year of commuting an hour away to the UU church in my hometown before I was willing to walk into UUCB. When I finally did, I felt a change. The congregation felt so robust and alive. There were so many groups and activities. Crucially, there were people willing to talk to me more than just in passing, and who connected me to the other people my age. Thanks, Paul. But the thing that made me feel safest was the proud and unambiguous covenant displayed in the atrium, committing to healthy relationships, responsibility towards others, and repair after injury as a spiritual practice. Subtextually, that statement feels like a commitment to avoiding the self-righteousness and grandiosity that often leads to religious hypocrisy, and it means more to me than I can say. It still took time, but these things told my heart that I had found somewhere that might be safe enough to stay, soil ready to plant my seeds of community, that finally I had found somewhere safe enough to risk no longer facing the world alone, somewhere I could finally belong. A few months later, I committed to UUCB by signing the membership book, upending every expectation I had for myself regarding church. I'm deeply grateful to be part of the UUCB community and often experience that gratefulness as I look at the framed copy of the covenant that I keep in my home. It means so much to me to be part of a community that frames caring for ourselves and others through love as a spiritual practice as we face the world together. Thank you.
The birds they sang at the break of day. Start again, I heard them say. Don't dwell on what is passed away or what is yet to be. Yeah, the wars, they will be fought again. The holy dove, she will be caught again. Bought and sold and bought again. The dove is never free. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. We asked for the signs were sent. The birth betrayed, the marriage spent. Oh, the widowhood of every government, the signs for all to see. I can't run no more with that lawless crowd. while the killers in high places say the prayers out loud. Oh, but they've summoned up a thundercloud. They're gonna hear from me. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. You can add up the parts, but you won't have the sum. You can strike up the march, there is no drum. Every heart to love will come, but like a refugee. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in.
I invite you to take a moment to rest more deeply into your seat, to feel your body in this place, in this moment, to feel your connection down to this good, this holy earth, holding us all despite all, to feel your breath moving in and out. Give up giving it right. Give up doing it all. Forget the long-held dream of another that was never truly yours. Forget the fantasy of living a life other than your own. Let the crack in the facade of normalcy, the crack that seemed at first to be a blemish on the smooth surface of a perfect sidewalk, a crack on the illusory perfection of a dream that never was, let it buckle and grow at the pressure of a life force moving beneath the surface. Be ripped free. Be ripped free, free of the bargains you made to hold it all together. Be ripped free, free enough to sob, to wail, to scream. Be ripped free from the plans that have become too small for your life. Be ripped free from the goodness you promised to be in exchange for a small and static safety. Be ripped free and let false perfection give way to cracked truth. Let in the light. O God of breaking apart, holy mystery that illuminates us in our anguish and in our outrage, that beckons us with the ragged glow of an imperfect joy, ring in us the wild bells of our wider being. Ring the bells that still can ring. Call us once more to share humbly with this world our imperfect offering. In this community of care and witness, we hold one another through the seasons of our lives, and we light candles and lift up those joys and sorrows, griefs and gratitudes among us. Our hearts are full this week with Karen Elliott, whose sister Kathy lives in Texas and watches the service from there. She asks us, please lift up Kathy's son Jacob and her daughter-in-law Molly in your prayers. Molly has been diagnosed with cancer. And Jim Gasparini remembers fondly his Aunt Connie, last of her generation in my family, who passed this month at age 96. Someone asks prayers for my sister, who feels despair in this moment and is retreating into isolation. May she feel our love. Today is the 29th wedding anniversary for Tim and Shelley Rivoli. Happy anniversary, Shelley. I truly cherish you and the many adventures we have had together. Here's hoping for many more to come. Someone shares loving and remembering my mom. Someone celebrates my future begins today, just moved back to the East Bay permanently. Someone lifts up Shireen, who just lost her brother. Morgan is remembering my grandmother, who passed this week at 93. She was the pianist of her church for many decades. Phoebe is grateful that in 1992, when she came here, UUCB was committed to using inclusive, non-patriarchal language. And someone's lighting a light for love and community, which keeps us together and makes us stronger. So many of us are thinking of the events of our world, and especially of the Twin Cities in Minnesota. Prayers Ruth offers for all children who by circumstance or choice are separated from their families. In our moments of silence today, let's hold each other's grief and outrage over ICE's appalling murder yesterday of Alex Preddy in Minnesota, joined by those of Renee Good and the thousands of Iranian protesters, all people like you and me standing up for our political and human rights. Debbie Clifford writes, let's also give thanks for and send our prayers to the courageous clergy, including my mom, Reverend Laurel Liefert of UU Oakland, whose timely presence and spiritual leadership in Minneapolis is shining a bright light in the gathering darkness. And someone invites prayers and gratitude to the brave people of Minnesota. May our leaders find their conscience and act to bring our country back to the path of democracy and compassion for the people of Minneapolis, and once more for the families of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Today, as we know that all we hold here and wherever you are joining us from is held in the loving embrace of this community, and by that love beyond all naming that cannot and will not let us go, we make special room for the grief that shows up in rage and in despair. Today and in the weeks to come, I want to offer a moment to hold that grief in the way that words cannot. A beloved colleague has given us a loan of her singing bowl, and I'm going to ring it 10 times today for those 10 gunshots fired yesterday into Alex Jeffrey Preddy. How to be a person in the world. How to be a person in the world by Lindsay Rush, who calls herself Mary Oliver's drunk cousin. Let the sorrow of it all sink deep into your bones. But don't forget to finish the laundry and water the lawn and dry your eyes. Dream up a 5-year plan for your small business while picturing your baby doing a lockdown drill in his kindergarten classroom. Discover new music and laugh at new jokes and let creativity drip from each of your fingertips. But be mindful that you have neighbors who are starving and dying and fighting for the most basic of freedoms. Look up how much protein you should be eating and also what to do if you're in public with an active shooter. Get your moles checked and get your head checked. Get a mammogram and get a grip. And the new thriller book everyone's talking about on TikTok. But please, dear God, don't forget the oceans, the ozone layer, the rhinos, the emails, the dogs and cats that need forever homes. Try to grapple with the fact that your parents are starting to get old, but also with the future of AI and the pending recession and the billionaires and the depth of division between you and so many people you love. It's undeniable that everyone, everywhere is on the brink of losing their humanity and their empathy and their shit, but to be a person in the world is to do the impossible every day. Simply by keeping your eyes open, simply by getting out of bed, simply by facing these incomprehensible horrors again and again without somehow abandoning your joy. By facing these incomprehensible horrors again and again without somehow abandoning your joy. Yesterday, the unaccountable agents of fear and chaos our government has unleashed upon the Twin Cities, like many other places, murdered another citizen of our country, as you have no doubt heard. Alex Jeffrey Preddy was a nurse at the ICU at the VA hospital. As he blew a whistle in alarm, Border Patrol agents peppered him with pepper spray. Him and a woman nearby who he tried to protect. They threw him to the ground and beat him, and then when he was laying on the ground, surrounded and held down by these agents, one of them appeared to notice a gun he had in a holster, removed it, said he has a gun, and in response another agent pulled out his own firearm and shot Alex Preddy, and then as he lay face down on the ground, they shot him 9 more times. By facing these incomprehensible horrors again and again without somehow abandoning your joy. So I watched that video of Alex Preddy's murder yesterday, and later I found out a beloved friend who grew up in the Unitarian Church in Oakland, where I grew up, a generation younger, was at the scene there yesterday, having just been arrested by ICE herself while protesting, watching from the bus where they kept the detainees as they murdered Alex nearby. And I was thinking, I was hoping to talk about joy today. That song we've been singing this month as the children leave for their classes, many windows, one light. The image was central to the theology of the late Unitarian Universalist minister Forrest Church. And boy, if there was ever a crack in someone, he had a complicated ministry. He imagined us Unitarian Universalists gathering in a cathedral beyond time and place. He said, this cathedral, as ancient as humankind, its cornerstone, the first altar, marked with the tincture of blood and stained with tears. Search for a lifetime, which is all you are surely given, and you shall not know its limits. Visit all its transepts, worship at its myriad shrines, nor span its celestial ceiling with your gaze. The builders have worked from time immemorial, destroying and creating, confounding and perfecting, tearing down and raising up the arches in this cathedral, buttresses and chapels, organs and theaters, chancels and transepts, gargoyles, idols and icons. Not a moment passes without work being begun that shall not be finished in the lifetime of the architects who planned it, the patrons who paid for it, the builders who constructed, or its expectant worshipers. Throughout human history, one generation after another has labored lovingly, sometimes fearfully, crafting memorials and consecrating shrines. Untold numbers of these collect dust in long, undisturbed chambers. Others, cast centuries or eons ago from their once respected places, lie shattered in shards or ground into powder on the cathedral floor. Not a moment passes without the dreams of long-dead dreamers being outstripped, shattered, or abandoned, giving way to new visions, each immortal in reach, ephemeral in grasp. Welcome, he said, to the cathedral of the world. To live in a time when the great and cherished shrines we have inherited from generations past are being smashed daily before our eyes is a disorienting burden. Where do you plant your feet in this cathedral of such constant outstripping, shattering, abandoning, giving way? How do we orient ourselves in this cathedral of such violent transformation? Above all else, he said, contemplate the windows. In the cathedral of the world, there are windows without number. Some long forgotten, covered with many patinas of grime, others revered by millions, the most sacred of shrines, each beautiful in its own way. Some are abstract, other representational, some dark and meditative, some bright and dazzling. Each window tells a story about the creation of the world, the meaning of history, the purpose of life, the nature of humankind, the mystery of death. The windows of the cathedral are where the light shines through. Many windows, one light. One sacred source, one indivisible reality refracted by a multitude of colored shards of glass. Perhaps the light that shines on you shines with Mother Mary's blue glow. Or maybe it's through the brilliant orange of the monks' robes, deep in meditation. In this cathedral, there's no end to the variation of the worshipers' hues and illumination. The same light falls on the Somali urban Uber driver in Minneapolis, and on the ICU nurse pulling a double shift, and on the kindergarten teacher kneeling on the floor, tying shoes before a lockdown drill. The same light falls on the border crosser walking through desert heat, and the border agent taught to vilify him, on the mother counting tips in the middle of the night, and on the billionaire counting yachts in the bright sunlight. on the protester zip-tied on a bus, and the passerby who keeps walking because they can't bear one more image, on the teenager doom-scrolling at 2 a.m., and on the elder who still reads a paper in print slowly, deliberately, on the trans kid trying to survive middle school, and the pastor trying to learn not to cause harm, on neurodivergent minds, on pattern seers and deep feelers, and literalists and wanderers whose ways of knowing refract the light in colors the cathedral would be dimmer without, on the person praying in a rug, on the one praying with beads, on the one who can't bring themselves to pray anymore but still hopes somehow, on the person who's given up joy because it feels irresponsible, on the one clinging to joy because it feels like the last form of resistance left, on the grieving parent and the terrified child and the exhausted organizer and the burned out bureaucrat, on the oceans warming and even the rhinos dwindling and the forests holding their breath, on Alex Preddy, on my friend watching from the bus, on you, on me, many windows, one light. Our task in this cathedral, it's not to defend every shattered shrine or pretend the destruction isn't happening, but to keep turning ourselves again and again toward whatever window is ours to gaze upon, to let the light reach us, to let it warm us, to keep our hearts from hardening, to refuse the lie that joy is frivolous in a world like this, to remember that joy keeps us awake to what we love. Joy keeps us awake in all our senses to what we love, to the world we know is possible, to the vision we are called to keep fighting for, because we cannot just resist the harm that is being done. We must hold clear the vision we love. And no, joy isn't pure white light the way we sometimes imagine it to be, but comes in alongside a kaleidoscope of colors. I watched another video yesterday. It was 19 seconds long and showed me a glimpse of my son on his first day learning to ski. Face aglow as he glided across the snow. And the joy watching him didn't replace the outrage or the sorrow or the fear, but it shone through them with a luminous vision of life as it should be, life as it can be. Joy isn't an escape from the challenges or a fleeting taste of something good that cannot last, but in essence, we must keep letting in if we are ever to have a hope of making justice. It's the sign of our deeper calling, a communion with something that remains real and true no matter how bad it gets. No amount of cruelty can diminish the light. And now, even though everyone here in this cathedral of the world sees the light through different windows, gets to bask before the windows that speak to them, we also have to know that no one gets to claim that source, the light, as their own. No one gets to say their window is the right window. However transmuted, the light that shines for us is all one, and those who would try to catch it like pharaohs in the ancient pyramids, who would see only their own reflection in the mirrors that would capture the light and demand others agree that the light come in their image. Those who would blaspheme in such a way, well, joy says we have to resist them like hell. One of the leading lights this week in the world offered the words of Václav Havel, a great statesman of the 20th century. Mark Carney's speech in Davos, I want to just share a few words from it. He was talking about the essay that Václav Havel wrote, The Power of the Powerless. And in it he asked a simple question: how did the communist system sustain itself? And Carney explained his answer began with a green grocer. Every morning this shopkeeper places a sign in his window, "Workers of the world, unite." He doesn't believe it. No one does. But he places the sign anyway to avoid trouble, to signal compliance, to get along. And because every shopkeeper on every street does the same, the system persists. Not through violence alone, but through the participation of ordinary people in rituals they privately know to be false. Havel called this living within a lie. The system's power comes not from its truth, but from everyone's willingness to perform as if it were true. And its fragility comes from the same source. When even one person stops performing, when the green grocer removes his sign, the illusion begins to crack. Carney has called upon the world's leaders to take seriously the reality of the moment and act with both pragmatism and principle. But I also hear his call to every one of us in our own small lives as well to not live within the lie. The lie tells us it doesn't matter how we behave, that all the old rules are out anyway. The lie tells us it doesn't matter what we do, that the high and mighty will dictate the course of events. The high and mighty, not the city librarian or the retired social worker or the third grade teacher or the legal aid or the family medicine doc. The lie is insidious, and when we are feeling the full kaleidoscope of emotions, when we're rocked by events like what happened yesterday, we can find all our network of relationships impacted by it. I wonder, have you noticed unexpected friction in your own life? Have you noticed the anxiety of our society impacting relationships within your own family? You're with your friends or here in our community. Last week I read that pledge that the activists of Birmingham 60 years ago made. The discipline to decide not to live within the lie, the rigor that takes as a community together. And one of them I was sharing with a friend and colleague this week, that number 6, observe with both friend and foe the ordinary rules of courtesy. It sounds so banal, but I think it asks actually quite a lot of us. Observe with both friend and foe the ordinary rules of courtesy. He told me a story I had never heard before, that he was born in Birmingham. And one year, Christmas caroling, his parents caroled outside the king's house. And Coretta invited them in. They were Mennonites. And when she offered them a drink, most of them refused. That was their principle. But my dear friend's mom couldn't refuse. Courtesy was a higher principle than her abstinence from alcohol. And so she accepted Coretta's offer, her hospitality, and through this small moment of courtesy kept weaving this fabric of beloved community one to another. How are you called in the small world of your own life to tend to these relationships without living in the lie? To offer that care, that love, that common courtesy as a spiritual discipline. In a moment, we're going to sing again. We're going to sing a song, This Joy. This joy I have, the world didn't give it to me. And the world can't take it away. And the world, in the theology of the people who wrote this song, the world is that world of empire. It's the world of tyrants and pharaohs. It's the world of power over. It's not that world where joy comes from. We get that confused sometimes. All the beautiful things that world can provide us. But this joy I have deep inside, it comes from somewhere else. It comes from some light that cannot be altered or diminished. A light that reaches us through many windows, and yet is still that same sacred, precious light. Before we sing that song, a final word from the last third video I watched yesterday. It was of Alex Preddy offering a final salute to a patient he had cared for. In the dimly lit hospital corridor, the man's body lay beneath the honored armaments, the blankets of his service. And Preddy read out, "Today we remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it. May we never forget and always remember our brothers and sisters who have served so we may enjoy the gift of freedom." So in this moment, he read, we give thanks for their dedication and selfless service to our nation in the cause of our freedom. In this solemn hour, we render our honor and our gratitude. Amen. And may it be so.
This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. This hope that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This hope that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This hope that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Harmonize this hope
that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Where did it come from?
This love that I have, the world didn't give it to me.
Feel that love coming right through you.
This love that I have,
the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. It cannot. We got joy. We have joy. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Amen.
In our continental community, we share the responsibility for pursuing our mission by of our time, talent, and treasure. I invite you to support the work of our church through a financial contribution. There are a couple of ways of doing this. You can give electronically by scanning the QR code on your badge, or the QR code is found on the donation envelope. Or you can put a cash or check donation in the envelope that you'll find in the back of the pew in front of you. And when you leave the service, you can put the envelope in the donation box beside the fountain in the atrium as you leave the service. Each week, half of our offering is shared with the nonprofit Good Neighbor. The Good Neighbor for this month is Albany Thrives Together. They promote health and wellness for low-income and unhoused community members through outreach, free showers and laundry, and other essential services. In addition, they advocate for deeply affordable housing options, believing that a community, in order to thrive, all members must thrive. Thank you for giving generously as you are able. Will you join me in rededicating ourselves to our mission? Our offering and ourselves to the mission of this congregation, to create loving community, inspire spiritual growth, and encourage lives of integrity, joy, and service. Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen. I want to lift up, there's always lots happening in the life of our community, and you can always find it on our website under the week ahead. Today, after the service, there's a board candidates forum. There's a couple of folks who are nominated to serve on our board of trustees, and you can hear a little bit about them, get to know them in the fireside room after the service. And if you need to just go out on the terrace and scream first, it's a great place for that. You can see out over, just let it all out. So just, we're going to have to do a whole body religion here, not just our heads for a while, right? Okay? All right. So then we got our class coming up. Liesl Dees, our intern minister, is offering a really wonderful curriculum called Weave that came out of our seminary, Star King, about how to build spiritual community that involves counter-oppressive spiritual engagement. So it's an opportunity to get to know Liesl's ministry and to go deeper with a small group of people. I think it's limited to 12, so let Liesl know, and maybe she'll run another if there's too much interest. March 1st, I just want to get it on your radar now because we've moved it a couple of times. Love Songs and Chocolate. So grateful to Brian and the choir for your flexibility to accommodate Sue Maggotson's memorial on February 15th. But come to Love Songs on March 1st and get a little bit of this love that the world didn't give us and the world cannot take away. Let's rise once more in body or in spirit and close out by singing this call and response version of just a few of those words from Cohen's anthem, Forget Your Perfect Offering.
So I sing it, and then I sing, and then you sing back. Forget your perfect offering. Just ring the bells that you can ring.
Just ring the bells that you can ring.
There is a crack in everything.
There is a crack in everything.
That's how the light gets in.
The light gets in.
That's how the light gets in.
That's how the light gets in.
Forget your... And here we go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Forget your perfect offering.
Forget your perfect offering.
Just ring the bells that you can ring.
Just ring the bells that you can ring.
There is a crack in everything.
There is a crack in everything.
That's how the light gets in. 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 Forget your perfect offering.
Forget your perfect offering.
Just ring the bells that you can ring.
Just ring the bells that you can ring.
There is a crack in everything.
There is a crack in everything.
That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in.
That's how the light gets in. Reach out a hand or touch a shoulder and let us be connected. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. There is a light illuminating you. There is a light illuminating us. Let that light shine on a world that needs it so badly. May it be so, and amen.